Hello, and welcome to the How to Exit podcast, where we introduce you to a world of small to medium business acquisitions and mergers. We interview business owners, industry leaders, authors, mentors, and other influencers with the sole intent to share with you what it looks like to buy or sell a business. Let's get rolling. And now a moment for our sponsors. I want to highly recommend you get Acquisition Aficionado magazine. Every month, Acquisition Aficionado magazine brings you tactics for business buying and selling you won't find anywhere else. Learn firsthand from industry leaders who share their success stories, featuring in-depth interviews and stories from leading figures in the business acquisition industry. This multi-platform mobile magazine speaks to acquisition entrepreneurs wherever they are in the journey. And I want you to visit acquisitionaficionado.com today. Hello and welcome to the How to Exit podcast. Today I'm here with Morli Desai. She has acquired a company a couple years ago. We're going to discuss what that was like, what the process was like, what did she do before, and then kind of what she's going through now, so that we can all learn from her journey and see what she's up to and where she's going. Thank you for being here today. If we're going to be this rough at the beginning, we're going to have a little adventure here, but we'll just laugh at it and keep moving. Morli, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. I love having these conversations, so I'm very excited.
Cool. People learn a lot from others that are in the gear, in the motion. You've acquired something that looks like you said 2022, so you've acquired it 2 years ago. Let's go a little further back, kind of give the audience a sense of who you are, your origin story. If you listen to any of my shows, you hear my joke. I say, hey, you were born and then you ended up in a show about mergers and acquisitions. Could you fill out the show? Can you fill out the gap in between? How in the hell did you end up on an M&A show?
Yeah, happy to share. So I come from an immigrant family. My parents both immigrated from India in the 70s, right before I was born. And my mother was an entrepreneur. Well, she started her business actually when I was like middle school, high school. She was a CPA, an accountant, worked for FDIC, the big government agency that insures our money, and then ended up leaving and then opening up her own business. And so I got to witness her firsthand what that journey was like. And it was a family business, right? Like I was free labor at the time, so I remember stuffing envelopes with marketing materials and like helping her organize people's like receipts and stuff for their tax returns. And but I really loved watching how she grew into being a successful business owner. And then as a foil, my dad was a pharmacist and had a good job, very stable, but it was shift work for him. I didn't see that same excitement about building something and the respect that she got from her clients. And so that stuck with me my whole entire life. And I ended up going to college and majoring in business, wanted to be an entrepreneur, but never had that brilliant idea. So I was like, well, let me go and work. And I went and worked on Wall Street. I love numbers and analytics, did that for a couple of years, and then decided to come back and get my MBA. Went to Wharton and did that. And again, no brilliant idea crossed my path because I thought to do entrepreneurship, you actually had to start something. And then graduated in 2009 where the economy wasn't super great. So worked for a big corporate, Medtronic, a medical device company. And it was always in my head, I'm going to just be there for a couple of years and then I'll leave. And then 5 years came and I got promoted. And then 10 years came and I got promoted again. And then I had my two babies. And finally, May 2020, I always kind of liken that as my freedom date. I decided to go ahead and just quit and begin my entrepreneurship journey. There was a couple other factors that kind of went into that. One was getting unmarried. Two was my youngest son finally turned one, so I wasn't like a baby factory anymore. Oh, by the way, we had this thing called the pandemic, and it caused a lot of people to really stop and take stock. And so that all together just made me take the plunge. And so I spent about a year and a half looking for a business, and then worked with a bunch of business brokers, and then decided that I wanted to do e-commerce because it fit my skill set in terms of marketing and operations. And it also gave me the lifestyle that I was looking for as a single mom now, and acquired it in 2022.
So in 2022, what did you acquire? What was the e-commerce market space? I mean, what industry were you in?
Yeah, so it's a niche skincare business,
Mhm.
and what was really exciting about this is that the brand was started in 2017, and it kind of had, it was a half a million in revenue, and then COVID just really exploded it. And they had 20 was really great, 21 was great, 22 their run rate was even more phenomenal. And so I thought that that was a new normal, that e commerce was going to be the new way that people purchase things. And we didn't know how long the pandemic was going to last. Like, yes, we had the vaccine at that point, but it had really changed a lot of our normal behaviors. And one of my passions actually through COVID was skincare. You're on Zoom all the time, you're looking at your skin, you're seeing like all your flaws. And so it was when I really invested in my skincare. And then to find a company that could be something that I could invest in was a perfect match. And so that was kind of what inspired me to go ahead and take the plunge and purchase it.
So niche skincare, is that, is it moisturizers, concealers? I mean, I know nothing about this industry, so I the reason I run a podcast is that people often categorize me as insanely curious. I'm just constantly curious about all kinds of stuff.
The company's name is Amaira Natural Skincare, Amaira. And we lighten, tighten, and brighten your most delicate areas. So it's actually an intimate skincare company. And I focus specifically on hyperpigmentation. So my goal is to help women get their confidence back and feel authentic in their skin by evening out their skin tone, which is one of the big indicators of just getting older. Our skin starts to get a little bit more splotchy, sunspots, age spots, things like that. And so I have my natural skincare line uses plant-based extracts, and it works to even out the skin so that women can show up more confidently and authentically in the world.
So I'm interested in that. My wife, she's teasing you beforehand that I know nothing about the space. That my wife's seen how baggy my eyes have been getting because of the allergies, and I'm 52, right? And I've never put a moisturizer on me other than any type of dry patch I get from like what they call it, eczema or whatever. Where my immune system, gives me a dry
Yeah,
patch of skin. I put lotion on those because they itch, right?
your
but
eczema. Yep.
the
Mhm.
eczema or whatever. So if I get a little patch like that, actually, I just noticed I had one on my wrist there. If I get anything like that, then of course, where's the lotion? I put it on that, but I've never. I think probably count the time as I put lotion on my face on a single hand, and not need all my fingers, right? So that said, I was telling you beforehand, she put this stuff on, she rollerball underneath my eyes, and she's like, "This will help get the bags out underneath your eyes." And it was like, at first, I was like, "I don't want to put on makeup." She's like, "Oh, it doesn't have any color in it." 2 days later, she's in, like, "What are you doing?" As I'm in there with her rollerball because I was like, "I seen it now." Now that I know it's there, I was like, "Man, I do have bags underneath my eyes. They look horrible today." And I'm like, and then she's like, "Try this," and she pulls out this ice cold thing out of the refrigerator that's got, I
Yeah.
guess, a piece of jade, a roller. She's like, "You
Mhm.
roll cold on it." And I was like, "Okay, now we're getting a little." I'm not gonna go too metro. I'm an old, hairy old man here, but I would like some of the stuff makes sense, right?
But I'm actually more interested in your eczema. So, which a lot of my customers have eczema.
Mhm.
And specifically when you get those dry patches and you're using the moisturizers, right, to heal it, a lot of times the eczema can leave behind hyperpigmentation where the skin, when you've got like a scar, right, the skin's a little
Right.
bit dark. And so a lot of my customers that have eczema then use our products to help lighten the basically when your skin heals, it overproduces melanin to help with the healing process, and then it becomes a dark spot. And so the eczema actually is it's a key focus for a lot of my customers. And so I'm happy to send you some product if your eczema is leaving you spots afterwards, because it can be a confidence killer if you've got these dark spots all over.
So 2022, you buy this, COVID's going. We're learning a lesson now. Those of us are current looking, all the people I have on the show now, and even including myself. If a broker shows me numbers and it goes like 20, 21, 22, and they don't want to show me 23 and 24, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like
Nope.
we're far enough away, but even closer, like in 2023, we would try to normalize things. We started to pick that up fairly quickly that this run up may not stay flat. It may not even flatten out, it may recede. And it sounds like to me that yours, it ran up, but then it receded back down. What's happened since the acquisition?
Yeah, I mean, Ron, you kind of nailed it, right? Like, we thought that the runway that the company had was a function of how well the business was doing. And now going through 23 and almost halfway through 24, we have receded to pre-COVID numbers and have realized how much COVID was boosting the business. And a part of it is just decisions we've made. When I bought the business, it was mostly driving its new customer acquisition through paid advertising. And the paid advertising was very cheap in 2021, 22. And my costs for paid advertising have almost tripled. And so it's also a function of advertising has gotten so much more expensive. And so in order to make sure the company stays profitable, we've had to pull back on that advertising spend. And that's just continued the top line to decrease. And so, yeah, I wish I wasn't, but I'm in a turnaround situation trying to get the company back to when I just bought it, where initially my vision was great, I'll buy it. And then I will, the owner was only working 5 to 10 hours a week, is what he told me. And so I was like, gosh, like if I put all of my effort behind this, I've got to be able to at least maintain and grow. And it's been a different situation where it's really been about understanding the new dynamics and then working on a plan to turn around the business.
So there's the inherent part of me that wants to fix everything. So, do you mind if we dive into this just a little bit? Because I have my MBA. You did a Wharton MBA too. I didn't go to Wharton. I went to another school, but my MBA is in marketing, and I realized that my MBA in marketing made me a great employee for people like Coca Cola and all these big dogs. But when it comes to the small to medium businesses, it's almost worthless. I got a great dictionary in my head, but the methods and procedures and branding and strategies they teach you at the MBA level don't turn sales the way that you need in a small company when you're trying to manage debt to income ratios and keep a profitable thing. So I went
Mm-hmm.
back out and I studied under guys like Jay Conner and Livingston and learning low cost, high impact marketing strategies, became one of his coaches. And I studied under Dan Kennedy to learn how to do copywriting. And what I can say is on any of these platforms, let's say Facebook would be a good one.
Yeah.
Facebook goes through cycles. Sometimes you can find a niche inside of Facebook where you can spend $5 a week on ads and just be killing it. But
Yep.
as soon as the cycle goes through and people start seeing it, it's a competitive place. So meaning that people start bidding against those same keywords and bidding against those same ads, and they drive your cost up. So the only game that can be played in there right now is like I know people right now are killing it on TikTok, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's in that same zone where a $5 per week or $5 per ad per month type of kind of thing will actually turn results. You almost have to have somebody in here that knows how to game the system, like somebody on your team that their job is to understand what's working right now. Because whatever's working right now may not work in 6 months, and once they get something working right now, they hand it over to somebody that just just does that until it doesn't work, and they're out there testing all the little things around, like, what else might work? "Oh, TikTok just started allowing ads," you know,
Yeah.
let's try that." What do you get
Yeah.
when you said the ads drove up? I'm imagining it was probably Facebook ads, or was it Google?
So actually it was Google ads, and what you said exactly is the situation I'm in. Like, what worked previously is
Mhm,
not working again. And so the previous seller was able to scale up the business
mhm,
just exclusively on Google ads. He had done Facebook, and then with the iOS update it had caused a huge disruption, and so he saw that Google was working,
mhm,
and the cost per clicks at that point were so low because there wasn't a lot of people bidding on those keywords, right? Fast forward 2 years later, I'm competing against Amazon. I sell
mhm,
on Amazon and they're bidding up all my keywords. I'm
yeah,
competing against Walmart and Target and like platforms that are now getting in the game. And I'm competing against a lot of brands that before were doing a lot more top of funnel marketing. And just with how tough it is with advertising costs so expensive, they're pulling it back and focusing more on kind of mid and bottom funnel. And so that's why I saw the cost per clicks go from 60 cents to almost $1.50 to $2. And that's exactly it. When I bought the company, I thought it was pretty diversified in marketing channels. I thought the Google ads were only 50 to 60% of what was driving the revenue. And I learned the hard way that it was actually 90%
Hmm.
because I saw my email revenue decline at the same rate, realizing that the majority of my email revenue was coming from automatic flows. So people coming to the site and then getting like the welcome flow and the abandoned cart flows. And that's all contingent on people coming to the site. And then my Amazon revenue decreased also, which was like, what is going on? And then I realized what people were doing was that they would see the Google ad, they'd open up Amazon, see that I was on Prime, free shipping, and then they would complete their purchase. And so as that traffic was decreasing, it was also decreasing the traffic to Amazon. And so I learned the hard way of how exposed I was to one marketing channel. And that one marketing channel that had worked beautifully previously was not working anymore because of how expensive the keywords were. And so now we are on a strategy to actually invest in Meta, in Facebook and Instagram. And then my core customer is more on that platform than TikTok. But
Hmm.
after that, we're trying TikTok. And that's really now kind of the modern day playbook for direct to consumer brands. A lot of it has to be on social.
I'm wondering, and I don't even know if they do ads because I've never been on there. Not that I'm thinking of where are people. YouTube would be big, right? So you were saying that TikTok didn't or may not work, and your customer might not be there. Facebook is kind of your demographics. What is your if you had to give out like a this is my persona, what is the average customer for you?
Yeah, so I've got three main personas, and my
Mhm,
biggest one is me, honestly. Post maternity, late 30s, 40s, is seeing the effects of the hormonal changes, having babies, going through perimenopause, seeing the effects of age, but wanting to invest in myself and feeling self conscious about some of those insecurities and wanting to do something about it. So I like to tell my story a lot about getting unmarried during the pandemic, having my babies, and then putting myself first for the first time where I had always put myself last. And then just reinvesting in myself and my skincare and my wellness and looking for solutions for things that don't make me feel good and finding a company that is all about helping other women do that. And so, yeah, so I feel very blessed that my key customer is me. And then I have another persona who is my 20 something who also has insecurities, but is a little bit more externally motivated. Like they're looking for the real life filter, right? The Instagram filter in real life, though they're on TikTok. So we're doing everything kind of in a very focused serial fashion where like, let's talk to the customers that are me because I can connect with them one on one and
mhm.
make sure that I am helping them to the best that I can. And then we'll turn our attention to TikTok because it is quickly becoming the fastest growing site. And then TikTok shop, right? A lot of people make their skincare and their purchase decisions now based on these platforms.
What percentage of your sales comes from Amazon? Because that's dangerous too if it's a real high percentage.
Mhm. So when I bought the company, it was about 20%. It's now closer to 25 to 30%, just as I was mentioning the Google Ads piece. But yeah, but the majority of our customers still are through our website.
And then I'm a huge fan of anything that's recurring revenue, like subscription based and that type of stuff. Are your product stuff are they consumable? People use them, they need another round of them, or is it, it solves a problem and, all your sunspots are gone and you're never going to get any new ones?
I wish that for my consumer, but it's not true, especially if what's causing the hyperpigmentation, right, isn't solved. And if you are not going out in the sun anymore and you're obsessive about using sunscreen, like maybe you could use it and not use it. But the truth is, right, that hyperpigmentation is going to continue if the underlying thing continues, and then you need to continue to use the products. And so luckily from a business model standpoint, we do encourage people to keep using the product, at least to maintain their even skin tone.
And you said it's a natural based product and stuff. So some of the people that, if you looked like what other products do people buy and where do they hang out? Uh, I only know one makeup brand because that of any kind other than the stuff my wife leaves laying around that's natural, and it's because one of my friends, his wife used to work there in San Francisco. It's Bare Minerals. I don't even know if they're still around, but so anybody that would be ordering and using Better Minerals would probably be a target customer for you because they care about natural, they care about looking good. That would be, I don't know if you guys use competitive keywords in your searches and stuff, but if somebody's looking for bare minerals or something else that's natural homeopathic, any in that space where they're worried about natural healing, natural health, natural makeup, those would be key phrases and stuff.
Yeah. And that's actually a really good point. And so a key like competitive products that also help with hyperpigmentation
Mhm,
contain a chemical in them called hydroquinone. And in many countries this is actually banned. And in the
mhm.
US you have to get a prescription for it over a certain effective like amount of it. And so we are the alternative, right, for people that don't want to have chemicals, and especially for people with sensitive skin. Hydroquinone's a bleaching agent, right? It bleaches your skin, and it can actually, for people that have darker skin tones, it can actually make your hyperpigmentation worse. And
Mm,
so we specifically offer our products and target people that don't want, especially on their delicate areas, their intimate areas or their underarms, that don't want to put chemicals. I mean, there's another brand called Native that does underarm deodorant that's an aluminum free brand. And so
right.
it is becoming a lot more widespread that people don't want to be putting aluminum and mercury and hydroquinone on their body. These are all known toxins. And the ingredients in this, because this is something that I get asked all the time, like, does
Mhm,
it work? Right. And I say, the ingredients that are in this are scientifically proven ingredients
mhm,
to reduce the melanin overproduction. And so you can talk to a dermatologist about these ingredients. And so they're kojic acid, right, which comes from mushrooms. It's
mhm.
alpha-arbutin that comes from mulberry root. So these are plant-based extracts, but they are proven to help even out skin tone. And there's studies that show that they're just as effective as hydroquinone. And so that's what's really nice, is that you don't have to use the toxins. You can actually, we like to say, we have clinical strength products with natural ingredients, and all the results and none of the toxins, right? All the results and none of the harsh chemicals. And so what's nice about these products is that you do get the results and you don't have to compromise on your skin.
There's a lot of people on the planet that have jobs where that's important, where the changing of coloration and that type of stuff is important.
Mhm.
A lot of stuff in the adult industry and OnlyFans and the home adult industry. I don't even know if I've never been on OnlyFans. I don't know if they run ads or anything, but I'm wondering if there's, is that an industry that if anybody's over 25 in that industry, they're starting to see some things that is going to impact them being able to produce income. And I'm not trying to make it right, wrong, good, or bad. People
Well,
do what they have to do.
yeah, and let me normalize it because it's not for just those people, right?
Yep.
So growing up, right, I had really bad acne and I would
Mhm,
get breakouts on my back. And they would always leave hyperpigmentation. And then
mhm,
I also, just from having a darker skin tone, I just have darker armpits, right? It's not the hair. And even though I would shave really, really close, I would still have some hyperpigmentation. And I never wore sleeveless shirts because I was embarrassed to raise my arm because it looked like I had hairy armpits.
mhm,
And then when I got pregnant, I got this like line down the middle of my belly. There's an actual name that I should learn it. I call it like the pregnancy post baby belly line, right? That didn't go away. Similarly, my areolas got dark. My elbows, my underarms, and even my intimate areas. And also, when I wasn't putting myself first, I weighed 50 pounds heavier, and my thighs used to rub against each other. And that friction was causing the hyperpigmentation in my thighs. And then, even when you wear a bathing suit, right, you see your thighs. You
Mhm.
also have the ingrown hairs from trying to shave or wax in your intimate areas. And so that it's for women that have that, right? And that's a lot of us, right? That's
Yeah,
not just people that are in the entertainment industry. And it can cause major confidence issues. And like I said, I never wore sleeveless shirts or tank tops because of my back acne. And then I also get breakouts on my arms. And so this product has helped me get my confidence back. And this is
yeah,
what I aspire to do for other women. And a quarter of our customers are men. So it's not just that men that suffer from body acne, from breakouts, or manscaping also causes the ingrowns and the razor
definitely,
burn
yep, yep.
and the friction.
My 13-year-old son actually has hyperpigment spots all over his arms because we went fishing. It was only like 3 or 4 different times we went out where he ate up pretty bad by mosquitoes, and he scratched them all. And
Yeah.
I'm part Native American, so we get tan pretty easily. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's I'm inside all the time. I'm the whitest guy in my family. If you see any of our other family members, they look more Native American than I do. But what's happened is now he has almost those like freckles on his arm anywhere he had those scars.
Yes.
So it's one of those, like I kept telling him, "You gotta quit scratching those. Those aren't gonna go away. They're gonna be there for a long time." And he starts
Mm,
he's like, "I don't care." Like, it doesn't affect his video gaming, he doesn't care. But at 14, 15, when the hormones really kick in and he starts, like, wanting to talk to girls, it's he's gonna start being more self-aware. So, yeah, I can see where guys would want some of this stuff too because the scar tissue isn't a textural thing anymore on where those were. It's just a color change. He's got a lot of darker spots. So,
that's exactly it. It's just through the healing process, the body just overproduces melanin. It's
yeah.
melanin is beautiful. It protects our skin. And
Mhm,
for people that have more melanin in their skin, right, we
mhm.
get more of those dark spots, but everyone has it. And 40% of my customers are Caucasian. And so it's not just for people of color. Like we all can suffer from hyperpigmentation. And so for some of us, it's a confidence killer.
Interesting. What is your current plan for you said this is kind of a turnaround. What is the plan here? What does that look like? First of all, let's just kind of go into this. When did it hit you you're in this spot? When did it hit you that you've acquired something that you've got person I'm taking you did an SBA loan?
Yes.
So now you've got personal guarantees. I think you
Yes.
mentioned that before the show. But so you got personal guarantees. Everything's kind of on the line now. You have kids to feed. As a business owner, if you're not profitable, it's hard to pay yourself. You got to pay employees and buy equipment and stock and stuff, or
Mhm.
inventory first. But all that happens. A lot of people don't get that. If you're an entrepreneur, all that happens before the entrepreneur gets paid, right? Because if we
Mhm.
don't do that, you may pay yourself once, but you're not going to pay yourself two or three times because it's going to be gone. So, when did it hit you that was like, okay, now we're because sometimes it takes a while to set in. It takes a while before you'll acknowledge that, man, this Google thing just went sideways on us.
Yeah.
How long into that cycle of this isn't working? Do you guys pick it up pretty quickly or
Yeah, no, it's interesting, right? Because everything now is like a debrief to be like, how did we get to this point? So I went under contract mid 22, in that June, July. And so I had numbers through May. And you're right, we did use an SBA loan, and the SBA, the bank took a while. And so we actually didn't close till closer to the end of the year. And I would get every month, I'd get the updated financials, and I was starting to see it. And I would reach out to the broker and I'd say, gosh, like the cash flow seems to be decreasing. But they always had an answer like, oh, the cyclicality, or oh, we had to like prepay this expense on Google, or like, and I wasn't in the business yet. I was only still just getting the information like secondhand,
Mhm.
right, through the broker. And then when I got into the business really was in the beginning of 23. And that's when I started to see like the Google return was starting to drift, right? And so every month I would be like, okay, is this really drifting? Like maybe it's going to come back because we haven't hit the summer season yet. So halfway through 23, I was like, wait a minute, something is definitely going on. And I had brought over the marketing lead that was leading all the Google ads. And so I ended up replacing her midway, thinking that, okay, well, maybe she just took her eye off the ball or she's just not the right resource, and brought in another resource to kind of, and just say, hey, like the Google ads, like the returns are it's starting to go down. And so I brought them in and was like, look, I need you to get this return. And so the new person was like, okay, that's what we need to do. And the only way to continue to get that return was by like pulling back the spend, and really like looking at every campaign and shutting off stuff that wasn't getting it. But as that was happening, right, the spend was like going in and in and in. And while we were making, technically she was making the ROAS targets, pulling back the spend was making the top line come down. And so I let that go another 6 months. Again, this is my first time running an e-commerce business. And so it was taking a couple of months to really understand. And then at the end of the year, I was like, wait a minute, like this isn't working. Brought in another Google ads expert and was like, look, I need to scale this back up. We've got to do it. And so we restructured all of the accounts and like did our best shot. We took a pretty big hit because you got to let the algorithm relearn everything. And it worked for a little bit, like the new person, but then a month or two later, it started to see the decline again. And that's when I started attending e-commerce conferences, going on the forums, like everything, and just trying to get as much help, and realizing that the playbook today is you've got to be on Meta and the Google ads. It's getting more expensive. And that's when the pieces started to come together of like the cost per clicks and everything. And my Google ads people were doing everything they could, but I was holding them to a certain return. And when the cost per clicks go up, right, it's just that's out of their control. And so we're 18 months in, and that's why we're at this point now. We're like, okay, we've got 3 to 6 months where we're going to really focus on Meta and really try to get it going again. And then we've got to focus on new marketing channels because we can't continue to be reliant on one multi-billion-dollar company that's a black box, right? We got to have multiple multi-billion-dollar companies that we're giving our money to.
Right, right. So speaking of that multi-million dollar companies you're giving money to, on the Amazon front, the one reason I hate Amazon so much is when you sell something to Amazon, they own the customer. When you sell something on almost any other platform, even if you're using Shopify or your own shopping basket system or something else, you usually can get their name and email address, right? And now
Correct.
you have ownership of it. What modalities do you currently use for advertising? I know you already told like the Amazon ads and stuff, but do you do video? Do you do newsletters? Do you have other stuff going on?
Yeah. So one of the big investments I've made is in email because
Mm,
on the DTC side, I own all those customers and we have a very healthy email list. And one of the things that I realized when I was first looking at the company was that the reorder rate wasn't that great. And I think it's because people need to be reminded. They need to be kind of urged because it's a natural product. It works at the lower levels of the skin. So you've got to be consistent with using it and exfoliate to then have the skin turn over and have the more even skin tone appear. And people got to be reminded. Like someone told me, people are only 50% compliant on prescription heart medication like Lipitor. Like imagine skincare, right? And so we have invested heavily in email and I've already acquired those customers, so I don't have to keep acquiring them, right? And
right.
yeah, and we've been able to increase the repeat customer rate we triple it. Yeah, now it's about 20%.
One of the ideas I would do if I was in your shoes, I would create a simple, probably you can have anybody on Fiverr write this app for you, but a simple thing that they put in the daily time they do their skin routines, and it puts it
Yes.
on their calendar. Like you just put in a time. It's like, okay, I do it. For me, I wake up super early, so I wake up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. I have it on my calendar, but there's windows inside of there. if I were to do something like this, I would need something to go. A
Yeah.
simple tool that says I brush my teeth. Maybe that's a good time right after I brush my teeth to do my skin routine. If I was wanting to do it,
Yeah.
I'd want something to go put it in my calendar, just a recurring event, skin routine, and in the description, step one, step two, step three. So that
Mm.
might be a way to.
Yeah, that I do a weekly email to my customers, and I do a lot about like habit stacking and like,
Yeah,
like put it right next to your toothbrush and just
right.
whenever, right after you do it, right before. But that's a great idea, actually putting it on people's calendars. Yeah.
So a lot of, especially people who are in the professions and stuff where they have to be like executives and stuff like that, where they have to, we're just
Mm.
kind of, we're trained into, I don't set an alarm to wake up and I don't set an alarm to go to bed, but everything's on my calendars. But just thinking of things. Now, the other one I would ask you, do you play in the realm yet of the micro influencers? So not the big influencers have a million followers because they would be really expensive for a small company to play with.
Yes.
But there are guys and girls out there that are doing stuff in your they're naturalists. They're talking about vegan menus and they're talking about other stuff. I'd almost
Mhm.
have your marketing guy, somebody on your team, even a VA, like, hey, crawl through all the influencers out there. I want them to talk about anybody's talking about anything natural, right? Anybody
Mhm.
that fits our persona, that's in this age range or this age, or the two personas you have, if they fit this realm and they've got more than say 2,000 followers, earmark them and let's pick 4 or 5 of them and reach out to them. So I just thinking of ideas as far as, and some of those are pretty low cost, right? You could do even almost do affiliate type of stuff where you give them an affiliate code and anything they sell, they get a percentage of that type of stuff.
And we are doing that. I've got
Yeah.
a VA on my team. That's exactly what we're doing. We're reaching out, we're watching Instagram and TikTok and reaching out and trying to find good collaborators. So yeah, I mean it's a niche product, right? So we've got to find the right person, and so it
Yeah.
does take a lot of outreach.
It does, and it's a numbers game, right? You're gonna reach out to 1,000 people and 50 of them are gonna be interested, and you're gonna talk to those 50, and only 3 of them are gonna have the right cultural fit, the right personality, some integrity, all the different things you're gonna want, like, to represent your brand, because like, once you say it's okay for them to be talking about your stuff, anybody can take a picture of. I can hold up something and go, "My wife orders this type of, oils,"
Yeah.
or whatever. There's just so many different realms inside of this. I was curious. Do you have anybody in-house that are doing their own modality, meaning their own video and their own application videos and that type of stuff? Do you have kind of a, or is that you, or I mean, is anybody
Yeah.
out there regularly putting video content out?
Right now it's me. And again, with like the turnaround, we're trying to do things as quickly and as cost
Hmm.
effectively as possible. And so, yeah, it's me putting myself on camera and telling my story and doing things like this where I can leverage some of the content. But yeah, but that's one thing that I've learned is that DTC brand is all about content. And it's about being authentic and connecting with our customers. And so I feel like I can do that the best, especially because like my main persona is me. So a lot of it is me putting myself out there.
And it should be. You're an attractive. I'm a happily married man. I don't mean anything, but you're a attractive young lady. And if I was, if you were out there trying to find a spokesperson, you'd almost be mirroring yourself anyway, right? You're your own persona. But that said, every CEO out there, if you fit the number one persona and you're having trouble rolling up your sleeves and being the spokesperson, is incredible because you have a passion for it, you have a heart in it, and people can connect to your story. How often are you guys putting out content? Are you doing this regularly?
Yeah, and this is new, right? Like this is
Yep.
me learning how to do this. It's which is so out of my comfort zone. We've got our organic presence
Hmm.
on Instagram and Facebook, and I've got someone who's posting a couple of times a week. But the goal is to start doing it a lot more regularly. And yeah, and that's a lot for me. Like I'm not one. I actually don't do a lot of personal like Instagram and Facebook. It just doesn't add anything to my life. And it's ironic that I'm in a business now that like requires me to put myself out there. And Ron, this is a part of it. Like getting on podcasts was like the first step in getting comfortable
Hmm.
in putting myself out there and telling my story, because if I don't, no one's going to learn about the products and the brand and what amazing things it can do for them.
Okay, so let's go into some other ideas here in the real quick. have you thought about making a second acquisition? Because one of the ways to pull yourself out is you add a product line that has a higher profit margin that's a upsell complementary. Not that you would tackle the multi-billion dollar probably bare minerals company, but something else that they've got a viral effect. People are using it, it's starting to take off, and that using their product might induce using yours too. Is there a product out there that if somebody buys yours, they're probably going to buy that? I'm at the stage right now. We just bought this stuff off a TikTok shop for whitening teeth. Right, my wife and I thought, well, that's really looking really cool. We're going to try that blue toothpaste that turns your or purple t-shirt toothpaste. If somebody's buying something like that, probably chances are we're at the age where you're starting to worry about discoloration of teeth. You probably have discoloration of skin too. So, but I'm just thinking outside of the box. I've interviewed and talked to a couple people who have managed to acquire themselves out of your situation. They bought
Hmm.
or did and now that you own a company, it's not an SBA loan either. You can do things like kind of what's more of what we refer to as a merger. Like, look, I'll come
Mhm.
in, I'll run yours, and you're wanting to retire. I'll leave you with 30% of it. I'll take 70% of it. We grow it together. It becomes one company. And later on, I might buy you out for the rest. But you can do things now that you have assets and a company that would be a little harder to do if it's your first purchase.
I'll be honest, I didn't even think about that. I've been so focused on trying to turn around this company. But yeah, you've brought up a whole nother like option that I haven't even thought about.
Well, we're at the hour. We burned through this hour really quick. I'm enjoying this. I want to respect your time. Before we go, I think we've got about 10 minutes or so still scheduled, about 12 minutes still scheduled on what we have on our calendar. But I'm willing to go further into this if you are. Tell me, what's your biggest challenge right this second? And if somebody's listening and they'd love to help you out, maybe they can, send you some information or ideas to help overcome that challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about being focused on the turnaround. I
Mm.
feel confident that we've got a strategy and I've got the right people in place. And so it's more just about staying as level headed and kind of, dispassionate almost and executing on what needs to happen. And then letting the numbers speak for themselves, letting the business speak for itself, and just taking it one day, one step at a time. But yeah, but anyone that's been in a similar situation, I love to hear that because it's just this is a first for me and it's scary with the personal guarantee on the loan. And luckily, my lender has been very cooperative and is working with me. So, like, that's been nice, but it all kind of hinges on being able to turn around the company. And so, I'd love to kind of hear other people's experience being in this situation.
I have some contacts and friends of mine that are really that's what they do. They buy companies to turn them around. But I'll reach out to them and see what they think, and maybe one of them will offer up some time and do like maybe a half hour or an hour of brainstorming or something. But I'll reach out to my network too, and so if somebody's listening to this show right now, and they're in this space you're in. What would be your advice to them? What would you want to say to those people?
Yeah, I don't regret anything. Granted, I don't love that I acquired a company that's not performing where it was or matching the vision of what I thought I'd be doing, almost 2 years in. But it has allowed me to fulfill a dream of mine and it's allowed me to live a very values based life, especially as a single mom, and have the flexibility I need to make sure that I'm putting myself first, the kids second, and then my mission, which is my business, third. And so it's all a part of the journey. And wherever it ends up, at least I feel like I am living a true value based life. And that for that, I am grateful for.
Awesome. If somebody wants to reach out to you and maybe have you on their show or try out your product, maybe they heard something in here. We have a lot of listeners in your age demographics. If they want to try it out and stuff, what's the best way to get a hold of you and what's the best way for them to find your product?
Yeah, I'm active on LinkedIn. So Morli Desai and Amaira Natural Skincare. I think you'll be able to find me pretty easily. And yeah, I always read all the posts and the messages that come in through there. So very easy to reach through LinkedIn. And then my company is Amaira Natural Skincare, Amaira. And our website is amiraskincare.com. And so, yeah, I would be happy to have people, especially if any of the things that I talked about resonate with you, check out the products and check out the company.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here today and hang out for a few seconds. We'll call that a show.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I want to announce our new channel partners, the ITX Marketplace. Since 1998, ITX has created $5 billion in value by selling more than 225 IT businesses in 20 countries. ITX works exclusively with IT-enabled businesses generating between 5 million and 30 million who are ready to be sold, and M&A decision makers who are ready to buy. For over 25 years, ITX has developed industry knowledge that helps determine whether a seller is a good fit for their buyers before making the match. ITX Mergers and Acquisition Marketplace we have partnered with has a proprietary database of 50,000 plus global buyers seeking IT service firms, managed service providers, Microsoft service providers, software as a service platforms, and channel partners with Microsoft, Oracle, ServiceNow, and the Salesforce space. If you have an IT enabled business you're ready to sell, I want you to visit the itexchangenet.com/marketplace. How to exit. That link will be in the show notes. Visit them now.